being able to do a complete oil change in 30 to 45 minutes rather than driving to your local shop and waiting in line. Also, I know the exact filter I'm putting on and the quality of the oil I'm putting in, and I'm doing it myself, so I have faith in how I can do it rather than sometimes you go to a shop and the service might not be as good. The person changing your oil may be in a rush, or maybe didn't have much sleep the night before, or maybe doesn't even care. So it's just nice to do it yourself in that aspect. But you know what, you might have a good mechanic and you might have one that you can schedule and it's quick and efficient, and you prefer to pay somebody to do it, and that's fine. But these are for those of you that like to do it yourself. I'm going to show you how I do it and some tips and tricks along the way.
So how much does an oil change cost? According to Kelley Blue Book, it's around $65 to $125. Typically, an oil and filter change using conventional oil will cost between $35 and $75, depending on your area. If your car requires synthetic oil, you should expect to pay more, anywhere from $65 to $125. How much does an oil change cost in your area? Leave a comment below. So how much does an oil change cost for me? It's usually around $30. For me, I usually get 5 quarts of oil for under $20, and oil filters around $8 when they are on sale. And then it will cost me a few more bucks to top up fluids. I try to stock up on supplies whenever there is a sale.
First thing is I have a pair of Rhino Ramps, so I pull the van or the car up on the Rhino Ramps. And with Rhino Ramps, I have faith in them, and I've used them without jacks, but a lot of people have commented and say you should use jacks. So I have started using car jacks in addition to the Rhino Ramps.
You can also use a car jack and lift it that way. Just look at your owner's manual or Google where the jack points are at the front of your vehicle, then lower it onto the jack stands.
And then I also put some wheel chocks or some pieces of wood on the back tires to just for extra protection. You also want to put your emergency brake on. And another thing I like to do is actually shake it. After all that's done, shake it just to make sure when you're underneath you're not gonna have any mishaps.
Some oil change supplies: safety glasses, a ratchet wrench, oil pan, an old oil container, drop cloth or cardboard, rags, paper towels, old clothes, new oil filter, new crush washer, oil filter wrench if needed, funnel, ramps, safety jacks, safety wheel chocks, headlamps and flashlights, replacement engine air filter, replacement cabin air filter if needed, and some replacement fluids like windshield washer fluid and engine coolant.
Once you have the car up on ramps and elevated, you're going to find out where your oil pan is and your oil filter. Mine has the plug in the back, which is nice because when the car is on a incline, all the oil is going to go to the back, and I know where my oil filter is. It's also nice to know what kind of socket you need. So I like to use a ratchet wrench and an extended one. So I know for my Odyssey it's a 16 millimeter, and I like to use a ratchet wrench like this with an extension, and then this also extends to give you more leverage if you need it. I also like to have cardboard or a fresh tarp, and it's a game for me not to get any oil spilled anywhere, and it's nice to be able to use a tarp or cardboard so you can just kind of slide underneath the vehicle. Once under there, I just use a simple drain pan. There's 2 different styles. I have a simple drain pan and one of these bigger ones, but I decided I like the simple drain pan better because I could just pull it out and I empty it into an old oil container, and that lets me know how much oil was in the van previously. It's also nice to have a headlamp when you go underneath the vehicle, just so you can see better. And I always have my eye protection on, and these are fog free, so these are really nice when you're in tight spaces. I have a link to all these things in the description below if you're interested. I also like to use knee pads and just wear some old clothes. So I know my drain pan has a 16 millimeter plug on the end, so I have that ready to go. And basically you're just going underneath, you're making sure it says oil pan or oil. You don't want to take out the transmission fluid by accident. It's also nice to have a pair of gloves, so you can have a couple of pairs of gloves to keep your hands from getting too messy. Mine always end up getting messy.
When should you change your oil? As a general rule with conventional oil, it is recommended every 3,000 miles or 3 months since oil degrades over time. But with newer technology and oil filters, you can go even longer. Some oil filters are rated for 10,000 miles or more. For me, I use full synthetic and try to change mine every 5 to 10,000 miles. I have older cars that burn oil, so I'm putting fresh oil in every few weeks, so I feel this allows me to go longer between changes. My last Honda Civic had over 300,000 miles on it, and this current Odyssey has 160,000 miles on it. Read your car manual, your preferred oil filter, and oil instructions to come up with your happy medium. Any tips or thoughts, leave a comment below.
So basically you're going to loosen the drain plug, and some people use a trick. That last part when you're supposed to pull the drain plug out, a lot of times your hand will get messy. Some people use pliers or something like that to pull that out, so then they don't get their hands messy. I just use the glove and pull out the drain plug. Oil comes out, and then once that drains completely, after a few minutes, then you want to take off your oil filter. And your oil filter should be hand tightened before, so it shouldn't be too hard to take off. You can also use an oil filter wrench if you need to. Mine, I just use my hand and take it off that way. One nice thing to do before you drain your oil is check your dipstick just to see where your existing oil was at. You also want to make sure your engine oil is warm, so run your engine for a little bit to get that warm so it flows more freely. And also take the engine cap off where your oil goes in, and that allows the air to flow through and the engine oil comes out easier. Once all the engine oil is out, then you'll need to take off your oil filter, and that can be messy depending on what kind of car you have. So unscrew the oil filter and let all the oil out, and you can dump that into the pan, and then you're going to clean that up. You want to make sure that when you take your old oil filter off that the rubber gasket is still on it, and then you also want to clean the area where that oil filter connects to your car. Make sure it's free of any kind of debris, and make sure it's free of any gasket pieces or anything like that. It should be nice and smooth so you have a nice seal when you put the new oil filter on.
Which oil filter is best? I prefer the more advanced oil filters rated for higher mileage, but a lot of the big name brands with good ratings should do. I do like the Fram filters that give you extra grip on the bottom to tighten and loosen them. Do you have a favorite or preference? Leave them in the comments below.
With the new oil filter, you want to make sure, I like to put fresh oil onto the seal on the gasket there for a nice, so that when you screw it on, it has a nice seal, a nice connection with that oil on that gasket. And you can hand tighten that. I just pretty much hand tighten it all the way, and once I can't turn, when it gets really nice and snug, I'll just give it another quarter turn so it's pretty tight, but don't over tighten it. And once you're done with that, put your drain plug on. And it's good to use a new crush washer on that drain plug for another good seal at that drain plug connection. So you're going to put that drain plug on with a new crush washer, and you're going to tighten it down. I like to hand tighten it, and then I'll use the wrench and just get it tight. Make sure you don't over tighten it, and that crush washer should create a good seal there. If you want to, you can get a torque wrench and torque it to spec. I don't do that. I just make sure it's just nice and tight, but not too tight. And then while you're under there, you can inspect other things underneath your car if you want, just to make sure everything looks okay. Clean everything up, and then you're going to come up to the top and put your fresh oil in.
What oil is best? First off, use the correct viscosity oil for your car. It will be in your car's manual and also in the oil engine cap. Oil technology has advanced over the last decade, so you can stick with conventional if you want and save money, or you can upgrade to a synthetic blend or step up or go to full synthetic, which will last the longest.
Make sure you know how much your car takes. The Odyssey here takes 4.5 quarts. So when I use a new 5-quart container, I just use 4.5 quarts and leave half a quart left. And you want to fill up the oil I like to fill it up to the upper part of the dipstick, but make sure somewhere in between there, but it should be halfway or to the upper part of the dipstick.
Other things to think about: you can add an oil additive like Lucas to help reduce oil burn, engine noise, and wear. There's also Lucas gas treatment, which helps clean and lubricate the fuel system and can increase power and miles per gallon.
After you fill your oil, while you have the hood open, you want to check your other fluids. So you want to check your brake fluid, make sure that's okay. You also want to check your power steering fluid, your engine coolant, windshield wiper fluid, and also now's a good time to check your battery connections as well. Make sure everything's clean and tight. One trick to check the fluids is get a flashlight and hold it behind the fluid container, and it'll give you a good look at how much fluid is in there. You also want to check your engine air filter. That's important to check. Also, you can check your cabin air filter at the same time and make sure those are nice and clean. I usually have a reminder on my calendar to change my air filter once every year, and I'll check it every couple of months as well. And then at the 1 year mark is when I usually change it. Also, another thing, it's nice to check your air pressure and get your tires up to the proper PSI. And if you look on the inside of your door, it'll tell you what the cold PSI or the cold tire pressure for your car should be. For the Odyssey, it's about 35 PSI. So you can do that with a hand pump, or you can use a tire inflator like this, and it's just nice to have a gauge to check the proper tire pressure.
Check your belts as well to make sure they don't look worn or cracked. Check your transmission fluid. Check the lights, blinkers, brake lights, headlights, and tail lights, and don't forget your windshield wipers.
Once I'm done changing the old oil, I'll take the old oil and pour it into an old container. That way I can measure how much oil was in the vehicle beforehand. And we have a few local places like the township or some auto stores where you can drop off the used oil and the oil filters. So you can look in your area for those kind of places.
It's a good idea to keep a spreadsheet and give yourself calendar reminders when to service your car. Take it for a drive, check for leaks, and reset your oil reminders.
And that's pretty much it. Just a little bit of cleanup at the end. Hopefully you don't make too much of a mess. But after about 1, 2, or 3 times, you should be able to get the hang of it and do it within 30 or 45 minutes. You can do it quickly and efficiently and do a good job. And you can get into a groove and have quick and easy oil changes that are done properly and done right. And you'll start having fun. So I hope this video is helpful. Thanks for watching. If you have any other tips that you'd like to share, please leave them in the comments below. If you have anything you'd like to add, please add them as well. If this video is helpful to you, please like and subscribe. We do a lot of DIY projects on this channel, lawn and garden stuff, home improvement stuff around the garage. So I hope this video is helpful. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for the next one.